Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Invest for More. This is my liquor store and mini mart, and I may be buying another liquor store. So I wanted to post a video talking about how this one is doing because I'd actually asked people on YouTube if I should buy another one, and someone asked, well, does your current one justify making enough money to buy another one? How does it do? So I created some new sales charts and profit charts I'll show you here in a little bit that show how this one has done over the last 2.5 years or so. And we'll talk about how the building has done too, because I do own the building and the business and 3 apartments upstairs. So it was really a perfect situation to buy this property. It was actually for sale for a long time before I bought it as well. Finding another situation like this would be virtually impossible. It's in a small town, has no other liquor stores in town. Finding a building like this with apartments upstairs and a liquor store below it is difficult, a little tricky. So the one I'm thinking about buying, which I do have under contract right now, we'll talk more about it if I do buy it or get further along in the process. That just happened. But if I do buy this other one I'm interested in, I would own the building, which is a bonus because we'll talk about some other ones I looked at where you did not own the building. And it's in a much bigger town with more traffic. Obviously, that comes with more competition because there's other liquor stores in the area. Does not have any apartments, does not have any other space to rent out, really. But it's in a very valuable corner, a very valuable piece of real estate where it would have other uses besides a liquor store, too. So there's a lot of different things to think about this. And just like this building, I don't really get any numbers when I buy it. So this one, I did get a few numbers. I got some tax returns, some different stuff showing how the liquor store did, but very minimal. It wasn't being run the best. Just they didn't have very much inventory. We made a lot of big changes to make this one run better. Well, the one I'm buying also doesn't really come with any numbers, any books, any information on how the liquor store is doing, which usually means it's not doing very well. However, after buying multiple businesses, laundromats, liquor stores, running some other, things like my blog and brokerage, different things, you can't always judge a business by what it makes now, but what you think it could make, which is tricky too because you could be wrong. But a lot of businesses aren't run the best. They aren't optimized. And just because it's not making money now doesn't mean it can't make money in the future. This one has done significantly better since we took it over, and we'll show some of those sales chart here, like I said. So there's a lot to think about, and you're kind of taking a leap of faith a little bit on buying a business like this, especially a standalone liquor store, because with this current one, I had 3 apartments above. I had rent coming in. I knew there was lots of different ways to make money with it. It's a big building, has lots of different uses, even if it wasn't a liquor store. So there's a lot of possibilities there. The new one only has income if the liquor store is making money. And while it would have some other uses, retail, it has a drive-through, which is very valuable. It could take a very, very long time to change to a different use or to sell if it wasn't a liquor store. Now, if it's up and running, making money as a liquor store, it can be very valuable, be worth a lot of money, so that's nice too. So I looked at one liquor store that was for sale. I think they're asking around $800,000 for it. Then they raised the price to $900,000. I'd actually made an offer on it, never heard back. It was a giant mess. Obviously, the agent representing them didn't care, didn't know what they're doing. But anyway, that was just for the business. That's it. No real estate. Just a liquor store, and supposedly they made close to $300,000 a year. But again, you can also get books that aren't correct, or they don't have all the expenses, or they have too many expenses. It can be tricky figuring out exactly what it's doing, what it's making, and you really have to look at those closely and figure out what's what. So I was really interested in that one, even at those prices, because those aren't awful numbers. And I found that, with my real estate that we're buying, we're able to create lots of equity, but not much cash flow. Where with businesses, you might not be able to create as much equity, but you can create more cash flow. So having a mix of the two is working out pretty well. I also looked at another liquor store that was supposed to make, $70,000, $80,000 a year. They're asking $250,000 for it. It also was just a business, did not come with any real estate. And not only are you paying, the set amount for the business, but you're usually paying for inventory on top of that. So when I paid for this liquor store, and you're looking at the apartment upstairs, I think I paid $605,000, something like that. I paid another, was it $80,000 in inventory for what was on the shelves. And so you've got to factor that into the equation when you buy businesses too. Sometimes they charge more for equipment. Sometimes they charge more for furniture, fixtures, things like that. Sometimes it's all included. So it's very important to know what all you're paying for and what all you're getting. So with this new one I'm buying, I feel like the real estate is probably worth close to what I'm paying for everything. Maybe a little bit less, honestly. It's hard to say. It might be worth it. But the liquor store has a lot of value and a lot of potential, and that's where you really can add value and make it a really, really good deal. So what is my current liquor store making? And that's, you might remember they're building a restaurant right there. I think that should help. But the other restaurant across the street from my liquor store actually went out of business and closed. So I guess you lose one, you gain one. So here is a brand new chart I put together to show how the liquor store has done since I bought it. I bought it February 2022, shut down for a little bit, made it better, started up. So what you're looking at right now is the green line are the weekly sales. So that's revenue. The red line is the weekly gross profit. So that's basically the money I get after selling an item. And then the net profit isn't showing up very well, is blue. When it's very low, it doesn't show up on the chart. There it's doing better. And so the blue is what I actually make after paying people, paying utilities, things like that. So a lot of times when you hear this thing about corporations making record profits and the billions they're making, they're actually being pretty deceitful and talking about gross profit before they pay people, take into account a lot of different factors. Grocery stores make like 1.5% profit. It's tiny. It's an awful profit margin. But anyway, ours does better because we're a liquor store and small, honestly. So what the yellow line is my yearly cumulative profit, and I started it over every year. So the first year we made a little under $50,000 after a very slow start of making negative. In the second year, about $70,000. So far this year, almost $100,000. Now again, this isn't all money going into my pocket because the profit, a lot of it went into restocking, adding more inventory, improving the store, because this is just your operational profit. This is just what you're making after paying the employees, what the store brings in. If you want any extras, if you have some repairs and maintenance, I did not include that in this either. So it's been doing well. It makes money. And like I said, it takes very little effort for me because I have not been to the store in a couple of months. That's why I used an old video. But it's still, this isn't all money going to my pocket. There's a few more expenses. Now, if I could get a bigger store in a more populated area, we might be able to improve those numbers. And we might be able to keep improving these numbers too, because that's also something to consider. Do you buy something new to add to it, or do you just focus on what you've got now and try and make it better? Because I'm sure there's some things we could do to our store to add revenue, increase sales. Of course, I'm open to ideas on that too. All right, this is another chart. A lot of you have seen this one. This is sales every week. So that number you're seeing is weekly sales at the same time of the year for 2022, 2023, and 2024. So this kind of shows how things did over the last 3 years. And mostly I just buy these businesses because I like to make these charts. But you can see 2024 started out doing way, way better than 2023. Then it kind of decreased a little bit, and there was some drama in the town and some different things going on that involved not really the store, but people who worked at the store. So I don't know if that was part of it or just seasonal. You can see our charts are very similar, matched each time of year, like very similar in how they go up and down. So that was interesting to see. But we're still doing better than last year, and that's not because we raised prices. A lot of people say, oh, it's inflation. You just raised your prices. That's why sales increased. No, it's actually because our prices have been very steady. the last year or so, is because we've increased our sales orders, the number of sales we have, and we'll show you those numbers here too, which is kind of fun to look at. But it'll be interesting to see how the last part of the year goes. Again, would have been awesome if we could have kept our sales, after July just kept climbing and climbing and climbing, but we had those weird little dips. Again, not always sure why that happens, what happens, but things like that happen, and it didn't seem to happen the other 2 years either as far as a dip there in July. The other ones seem to be pretty steady or actually increasing. So, again, small towns can be tricky, and retail can be tricky because you don't always know why things happen like they do. All right, I have not shown this before, so what I'm showing here are our sales last month, and then we can actually compare them to our sales from a year ago in the same time period to kind of show you how we did year over year. We definitely did better. Our sales were up, and you can see the number of orders were up too. It wasn't just our cost per order or price per good going up. It was the number of orders. So more people are, either the same amount of people are ordering more stuff or more people are coming to the store and buying stuff. So that's good to see. And you could see that our average ticket price has gone up a little bit, and that's just per customer. And the amount collected is higher. We don't count that because of sales tax. So we collect a certain amount of money on every order, and then a certain amount of that gets paid back to the government for sales tax. So we always count the gross sales, not the total amount of cash collected. And so then I can actually go back to August again. I didn't do it before. So go back to August and look at those sales. This is a Clover POS system. It's been fine. There's a few things that bug me about Clover if anybody's thinking about POS systems. The biggest thing is their customer service is tough. When you're trying to talk to people, call people that's usually in India, you can't understand them. And they make it so that you can't use other equipment interchangeable with theirs. So like our card reader went bad. We can't just go out and buy any regular card reader. We have to buy a Clover card reader, make sure it's one set up for our system, and it can get kind of expensive. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but just some things to know if you're deciding on POS systems. You pretty much have to buy everything new from Clover directly if you want any equipment at all. This was last month. Again, did better as far as orders, as far as gross sales. We did better. Order or ticket size was just a little bit higher, and then you've got the annual collected, and then we'll go back one more month here. So the store's been doing good. It's making money. Once you can get it set up, it's really nice. And then on top of that, we separated the store from the building. The building recently appraised for $750,000, so it appraised for $150,000 more than I bought it, and I bought kind of the business and building together. And so if our business is making, for example, $100,000 a year, it's probably worth $300,000 to $400,000. So we've got a business and building together worth over $1 million, and we bought it for $605 2 years ago or so. It makes money. It's got real estate. It's worked out to be a pretty good investment, and so I would like to do more of these. But like I said, it's tough to find the exact situation that we've had at this store, but that doesn't mean we can't find other good investments, similar opportunities come up that maybe are just a little different, and see if we can make those work as well. So that's the store. Those are some of the numbers. We're doing pretty well. It takes very minimal work for me, but if we buy a new one, it would take much more work up front. Have to find a manager, staff, things like that. And of course, we'd have videos following all of that and going over how that process works. So let me know what you think. Good idea or not. Of course, we'll update you on what happens. And we'll have updates on our other businesses, the laundromats, brokerage. It doesn't really make any money. Our flips, rentals, all of that coming up as well.